So we're going to talk a little bit more about how to add effects to segments and to transitions, to multiple segments and multiple transitions. And before we get started, I wanted to point out just a couple of things. You can see that I have this effect up on V2. And if I want to just look at V1, I can click on it. And notice that unlike FCP, I don't get any kind of error message saying, if you do that, you're going to unrender everything on that track. Avid simply allows you to view any track without unrendering things, and it's really, really convenient, especially with a big long sequence where all you want to do is isolate a single video track. Another thing that I should point out is that Avid doesn't have a motion tab like Final Cut Pro does. Everything has to be in effect. If you want to be able to do a move like this, a picture-in-picture move, you've got to add an effect, and then you can go into effect mode, and that's what gives you all those same parameters that you get in the motion tab of Final Cut Pro. Let's talk a little bit more about adding those effects for now. So here's our project window, and here is our bin. Now this bin can store anything. It can store effects, it can store clips. As you can see, it's stored all of our audio EQs. We're going to have it store an effect. So when I click on this effect and we go into effects mode using this little button down here, you can also map that to your keyboard very easily. My keyboard's mapped a little differently, but if you go to settings and choose keyboard, you can see that one of the things that you can do is switch between source record mode and trim mode. If you wanted to, you could definitely add the effects mode in here, but jumping to effects mode via the keyboard is not part of the default keyboard setting, just to let you know. So now that we've opened up this effect, we've clicked on it and we went into effects mode, that brought this up. If you see this icon up here next to picture-in-picture, this icon can be dragged to a bin. And now that it's dragged to a bin, you can name it something specific. If you don't like picture-in-picture, you can call it PIP, resize, and rotate. So you can name it something very descriptive and very simple, and that will sit in that bin. So to apply a specific effect that you've created and customized to multiple segments, what you want to do is choose one of your segment arrow modes here, click, and then shift-click each additional segment that you want to add that effect to, and then double-click on the effect, and it applies it to all three. So that's how you apply an effect to multiple segments. So let's also show you how to delete an effect once you've got it on, and that's with this little remove effect button. Looks like a stop sign with a cross through it. Just click on that, park on the segment you want to delete the effect on, and click on remove effect. You can also obviously map those to your keyboard, and that's how you remove an effect. So we also have to be able to add effects to transitions. To do a simple dissolve, all you have to do is make sure you have the correct track enabled. We do, V1, and that you're parked somewhere near the transition, not even exactly on it. And then if you hit the little backslash key directly above the return key, that will add a dissolve. And you can change the length of it to say 12 frames. You can even change the starting. Instead of centered on the cut, you can have it changed to 3 frames before the cut and 9 frames after. Hit add and render, and you've got a dissolve. You don't even have to render it actually, but I did. So that's a simple dissolve. If we want to do a more complex transition, we'll just remove that effect. And in the project window, go to our effects list, and we'll choose a matrix wipe to kind of go old school, and maybe choose this spiral wipe. Just drag that right onto that transition. To be able to change the parameters of that transition, we'll just choose effect mode. And down here you can see you have the same options. You can say I want it to be only 12 frames, and this allows you to choose centered, ending, or starting at that transition. You also have options for the various things like adding borders to the clip in this effect editor. So that's a quick look at adding effects to transitions and segments in Avid.